let's get started. There are three capabilities that drive performance. So when you say somebody is competent, somebody is able to deliver on a task, able to deliver on a job, is professionally sound, there are three capabilities you look out for. The first one is what is called technical skills. What are technical skills? Technical skills are the skills you learned in school. So perhaps you studied accounting in school, you studied engineering. Those are technical skills. Somebody is able to learn programming skills, coding skills. Those are technical skills. Those are classified under technical skills. But it doesn't end there. There's a second level of capability, which is called the cognitive abilities. What are cognitive abilities? Cognitive abilities are abilities that speak to your logic, that speak to your intellect. So when you say somebody is cognitively sound, that is one we refer to as intelligence quotient. You talk about IQ. Those are cognitive abilities. We talk about skills such as analytical reasoning, being able to see the big picture, being able to cast a vision. Those are what cognitive abilities. But these two skills are not enough to make you competent and capable at your work and in life in general. There's a third element, and that element is what is known as what? Emotional intelligence. The first one again is what? Technical skills. The second one is what? Cognitive abilities. And the third one is what? Emotional intelligence. Now, these three skills are controlled by different parts of the brain. The first two, which is technical skills and cognitive abilities, are controlled by what is called the neocortex. The neocortex regulates analytical reasoning and technical competencies. So scientists will know a lot about this. When you open up the brain and you look at it, you look at how people learn. When you go to school and learn, it is the neocortex that regulates that aspect of the analytical reasoning. But when it comes to emotional intelligence, a different part of the brain entirely regulates the emotions of people. And it is called the limbic system. The limbic system. So neocortex regulates technical competencies and cognitive abilities, while the limbic system regulates what is called the emotional intelligence. And what we have observed is the fact that emotional intelligence takes time to build. So if you go to school for 4 years, you want to learn technical skills, there's a stipulated amount of time you can take to learn a hard skill. Technical skills. You go and learn 4 years, maybe you studied accounting, 5 years, medicine and all of those things. But emotional intelligence takes time. You need concerted effort. There has to be a desire. It takes extended period of time. And it learns through what? Feedback, consistency, information. So the way you learn technical skills and cognitive abilities is different from the way you learn what? Emotional intelligence. Now, this background is very important. Before we go into all the details of emotional intelligence, the competencies and all the strategies towards developing your emotional intelligence, it is important for you to know the origin of emotional intelligence. And so it starts from that limbic system. The limbic system is what governs your feelings, your impulses, and your drives. So when you feel a particular way, when you have a particular emotion, when there's fear, when there's anxiety, when you're afraid, all of those feelings are regulated by the limbic system. And this is what happens. Whenever you receive information, any information, somebody tells you something, you hear something on the news, whenever you receive information, that information has to travel to the right side of your brain. The right side of your brain is where the neocortex is. And the neocortex gives information and interprets information. And so that information has to travel down there before you make sense of it. So the information enters from the base of your brain and travels through the spinal cord and then has to get to the right side of your brain, which is where the neocortex is. But before it gets to the neocortex, it is intercepted by what? The limbic system. And this is why people react emotionally. The information has to travel to your logic, and then you have to make sense of it and then act upon it. But before it gets there, it is intercepted by the neocortex. And that is why it is intercepted by the limbic system, beg your pardon. And that is why most people react emotionally to situations and to events and to news, because they are not able to initially allow that information to get to the front part of their brain, which is the logic. So that is why it is often said that human beings are hardwired to be what? To be emotional. That's why people get angry. Somebody steps on your toes, so you just get angry and you react instead of you taking time to process the information. So what we often say is that the balance between emotion and logic is where emotional intelligence rests. So that middle line, that middle point, that intersection between where the information travels and you interpret it between logic and emotion is the seat of emotional intelligence. And so like I mentioned earlier, emotional intelligence takes a lot of time. You may be your teenage years now, or your 20s or 30s, you will constantly have to develop emotional intelligence skills. Because different situations will happen. You will get to involve yourself in different events. You go to take on new tasks, take on new challenges, and relate to different people. And so your emotional intelligence is going to be tested time and again, over and over again. And that is why this skill is very vital, very essential towards making you somebody who is effective. And that is why we want to quickly look at some of the benefits of emotional intelligence. What do you stand to gain by developing your emotional intelligence competencies? Why should I bother learning about emotional intelligence? That is what we're going to look at in the next lesson. Stay tuned.